Hi, it's vegan nutritionist and personal trainer Paul from Herbivore, and here's my next round of Q&As. For the chance to get your question answered in the next of these videos, comment down below. Mish asks, what is your argument for when someone says one grass-fed cow kills less animals than eating plants, as arable farming kills hundreds of rabbits, snakes, etc.? Thank you. Well, number one, hundreds of rabbits, snakes, no. So studies have been done. They put receivers on rodents, in crop fields. They found out that they all escape the combine harvester. Animals are flighty, particularly small ones. These machines are monstrous. They come rumbling along. The other thing is that the blades are set like several inches above the ground, so it probably would just go over them if they were too slow to move. You're probably going to get the odd insect or whatever. Well, if you're going to take that argument, we better stop driving, because driving kills like loads of insects. It even kills the odd human. So, we really better stop any sort of transportation. If you do look at the amount of insects potentially killed, maybe the odd small animal here and there, you've got to divide those deaths up by the amount of calories you're getting. You're not going to eat that whole field in one sitting, are you? So, it's going to be a relatively small number as well. And then if we look at the health and environmental aspects of this, the human body's not designed to eat meat. Coronary heart disease, atherosclerosis, caused by trans fat, sat fat, and cholesterol, kills every third Westerner. It affects like every other. So it's physiologically incorrect for us. You could say that eating glass would save more animals. Well, neither is meant to be going inside the human body. And then in terms of the environment, it would take something like 3.5 planet Earths if everyone wanted to eat cows. It's not going to happen, is it? Sarah Hall asks, how do I get my iodine every day? So the RDA of this essential mineral is 150 micrograms. You can get away with consuming up to something like 10 times that, and it wouldn't be a toxic dose. So I like to aim for about 300, just to make sure I'm not just reaching this bare minimum. A lot of people struggle with iodine, and it's such an important mineral. Our thyroids require it. The T4 storage thyroid hormone is made of 4 iodine molecules. It releases 1, becomes T3, which is the active version. And it takes part in so many different processes throughout so many different systems of our body. It's going to be probably hypothyroidism if you've not got that. So it's going to be like your heat, your happiness, your sexual function, your ability to not get fat is huge. So it's very, very important. Personally, I'll eat 2 or 3 sheets of nori. I'll eat a teaspoon of dulse. You can use arame as well. Different seaweeds, basically. There's a lot of different seaweeds, and they're all different doses to get that minimum of 150 micrograms. One to watch out for is kelp, which is so high in iodine, it's easy to OD on. So be careful on that one. I like nori sheets. You can use them in making vegan sushi. I sometimes dip mine in a tamari water solution and just eat them as is. Kind of like a supplement. I just make sure I have it at breakfast time, so I've got it in me. You can put the flakes, the dulse, not terribly fishy tasting, it's more kind of salty. Use it in cooking. You can hide these things in sweet smoothies. If you really can't stand it for some reason, you can't stomach the thought of seaweed, well, a Lugol's solution iodine iodide tincture will be your savior. Igor Kallenberg asks, who is your biggest motivation for going to the gym and making all kinds of gains? All kinds. So not so long back, I got really bored of bodybuilding. At this point, I've been doing it for 3 decades. About 4 or 5 years back, just got fed up with it, bored, wasn't excited by it anymore. Like most young men, I was struggling with a bit of insecurity. I wanted to be big and strong and someone that people wouldn't want to try and pick on. Done all that silly malarkey, worked the doors, got nothing to prove anymore. But people started looking at me for being vegan and having, a bit of a physique, a bit of size to me, and sort of being shocked at that and surprised. I realised all the harm I've done to animals in the past from my terrible eating choices when I didn't know better. Thought we had to eat tons of animals to grow muscle. And I felt I needed to put my little bit back. It's just lit a fire under my ass. And I just train like mad now, and I really want to be an example, and I really want to save those animals, save people's health, save the planet. There's no better driver, you know, it's huge. So that's just such a good thing to think about. You know, I'm getting towards the end of the set and it's hurting like hell, and I think this is nothing compared to what those poor animals are going through. As a PT, when I'm training a vegan client, if they're starting to struggle, I will say to them, for their animals, in 5 years, never has one of them failed. Stephen Kirk asks, why does Tim, the ex-vegan princess's face look so bloated and puffy? Whilst he was vegan, he made a bid pointing out how bloated and puffy his face was when he was eating animal products. Seems to be fine with it now. That's because he's eating a physiologically incompatible diet for the human body. Those vegan guys ask, what do you find is the worst food item for weight fat gain? Is it bread? If so, do you find other starchy foods do the same, like potatoes and pasta? I believe that starch is our species-specific preferred fuel source. You know, and some fruit as well. Like, I think we should have some fruit in there. So carbohydrate, basically, but focusing mostly on starch. From what I've seen, we just do the best on it. I've certainly done the best on it. The biggest, you know, best civilizations throughout history, they all ate a starch-based diet. Carbohydrate is the only macronutrient that when we eat in excess, we perform dietary thermogenesis. So our body actually heats up to burn off excess calories. Where I think we go wrong, and people say that carbs are the enemy, they're thinking of things like pizza, donuts, crisps, that all come with a good whack of fat. De novo lipogenesis, or new fat formation, basically taking carbohydrate, turning it into fat, is a very hard thing for the body to do. You know, and why would it bother? You've got some carbs, you've got some fat, you've got excess calories. What are you going to store as fat? Well, the fat, because it's already fat. If you do a biopsy of someone, you can tell what fats they've been eating by the fats they're storing. It's that simple. The number one very worst food for fat gain, oil. 400 grams of vegetables will fill your stomach to the brim. 400 calories of oil will be a little coating on the bottom. Ditch the oils, not just for fat loss, but for health. It's the worst thing a vegan can eat. Sam Hemp, good vegan name. How do I make tahini not taste like ass? Eat something different. Kim Lee asks, what do you say to people who use historical evidence for our dietary choices, such as there has never been a vegan civilization in history, so how do we know it is healthy long term? That is a really great question. So what I would say is, according to the overwhelming preponderance of scientific data, the more whole plant foods we eat and the less animal products and processed plant foods we eat, the longer and healthier and better we live. The best studies really that we have on this are the Adventist Health Studies 1 and 2. They looked at a huge population, stuff like 70,000 people, I believe it was. Now these people in their belief system think that we come back to inhabit our body again, so health is very important to them. So they don't smoke, they don't drink, they do exercise. If they eat meat, it's around 4% of their calories. There's a lot of vegans, there's a lot of vegetarians, and as I said, there's meat eaters as well, but low amounts. Across the board in longevity and disease avoidance, the vegans outperform the other groups by far. And they're not even eating completely whole foods. They're eating a good amount of whole foods, same as they are in the other groups, but they're eating about 20% of their calories from processed kind of meat type products. And there are no essential nutrients in animal products that we can't source elsewhere. If we do eat animal products, they come with a laundry list of negatives, you know. No one's dying from undernutrition these days. Everyone's dying from excess, and it's trans fat, sat fat, cholesterol. It's mostly animal products. So why would you? Joe McLean asks, I know you're not a powerlifter, but I'm curious, what are your best lifts? So barbell bench press, 140 kilos for 12, 180 for 1. That's the second ever 1 rep max I've ever done on anything, and it just felt like my tendons are gonna ping off, so I never tried that stunt again. Back squat, I used to train in what was called the rest pause style. I know this come to mean something else now, but back in the day, you just did as many reps as you could, caught your breath for a second, a few more, caught your breath, you know, and in the end you just do like one, few breaths, you know, until absolute exhaustion. And so I did 140 kilos for 20 on that. Leg press, I've done 400 kilos for 16 reps. Dumbbell shoulder press, 45 for 10. And then like a lat pull down or a low pulley row, stacked those before, so about 100 plus kilos on those for 10 reps. Michael Ackister asks, when did you become interested in fitness? Did it start at a young age, teen or older? So I was a very wimpy child, very unfit. I always wanted to do martial arts, but never had the bravery. And I kind of probably wanted to join a gym as well, but I didn't just have the balls to step up and go in and sort of, I was very shy. At age 15, I got sick of all that, went down to the local karate dojo, went with a girl from school, and it kicked my ass, you know, press ups, crunches, bunny hops, which have been outlawed now, where you're bouncing around on your feet, you know, like in a full squat, bouncing around and around the dojo. I was sore to the touch for like 2 weeks. It was bad. I wasn't ever going to go back again, but the girl wanted to go back. Sarah, her name was. As a bloke with an ego, I felt obliged to go or look like a pansy or whatever that is, all that malarkey. Over time, saw that I was getting fitter and stronger, less sore. I just fell in love with it. Helen Vara asks, what's the best way to get the right amounts of omega-3s and omega-6? So these are the essential polyunsaturated fats, essential meaning we must eat them or suffer dire consequences. 3 is the most important one to sort of pay a bit more attention to. Most nuts and seeds are skewed in favor of omega-6. So flax and chia seeds are your friends. They're kind of 3 or 4 to 1 in favor of the anti-inflammatory omega-3. Depends, you know, we have different conversion rates of the short chain into the long chain. So while some people might get away with 1 tablespoon, like the worst converter may need 3.5 tablespoons. So, you know, maybe go in towards the higher end. They must be ground or you liberate none of the omega-3 from the sort of thick outer shell, and it won't raise in your bloodstream. So there's a study done that proved that. So make sure they're ground. And then all the other nuts and seeds are higher in the omega-6. So, and we want them roughly in a 1-to-1 ratio, ideally. Again, the 6 is pro-inflammatory. We do need to make inflammation in our body sometimes, so we need this short chain omega-6 with which to do that. So I would say eat like a similar amount in balance. If you use a chronometer app, you plug in your foods, you know, you can then see what's your ratios looking like. You get the odd 1 in a million unfortunate soul that cannot convert the ALA short chain omega-3 into the EPA DHA long chain sort of animal versions. Perhaps they've got a genetic defect whereby they don't produce the enzyme elongase, which is responsible for that. So just as a fail-safe, you know, as a safeguard, I recommend everyone take an EPA DHA supplement. For vegans, this comes from algae. It's what the fish eat to get theirs, 250 to 500 milligrams a day. And Hannah Sheldon asks a very interesting question. Is there genuinely a reason for the grunty gym noises that people make when lifting weights? No one ever takes this question seriously when I ask, but I really want to know. So you see it in weight training, you see it in martial arts with the kiai, you see it in tennis, you know. I don't know what they sound like on a tennis court sometimes. It sounds like they're doing some mad things. If you weren't looking, you'd really wonder. I think it works to lower inhibitions, so you can just really just be your most powerful, just really explode without a giving. And for me, when I'm in the gym, I make very low sort of guttural sounds. And I've noticed when I watch the show Vikings, I don't know if it's kind of informed the sort of noises that I make or whether I was already making them, but it sounds very similar to when they're sort of fighting to the death. And it's like a low guttural, low vibration, low frequency. If you believe in such spiritual mumbo jumbo, I suppose it would be like would vibrate maybe towards the frequency of the root chakra, which is to do with, you know, violence and things like that. So is that activating something? I don't know. YouTube suggests that you will enjoy this video. So I think that you should watch this video immediately.